All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to dive into a topic that is super personal and, let's be honest, often really confusing: fertility. We're here to cut through some of that noise and get to some clear, expert backed answers for the biggest questions.
So let's start with this. Does trying to get pregnant ever feel like you're trying to solve a puzzle in the dark? Yeah. If it feels confusing, even isolating, you are definitely not alone. The whole goal here is to turn that mystery into some much needed clarity.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we're tackling the often missed male factor. Then we'll get into what your menstrual cycle is really telling you. After that, we'll look at treatment protocols and we'll wrap up with what you can do next.
Okay, first things first, we have to talk about something that honestly should be square one in any fertility conversation: the male factor. Because this whole thing, it is not a solo mission. It's a team sport right from the get-go. And look, Dr. Natalie Crawford just nails it with this quote: fertility is 50-50, team sport. For so long, the story has been all about the woman, but that's just not the reality. And this visual just makes it crystal clear, right? When you look at the data, the male factor is involved in a whopping 50% of fertility cases. It's not a side note, it's half the equation. So, what's the easiest, most straightforward first step for guys? It's a semen analysis. Seriously, this one simple test gives you so much crucial info: count, movement, shape, the whole deal. You can get it from your doctor, a clinic, or even order one online. It's one of the best first moves to get some real answers. Okay, but this leads to another really common question, especially with all the ads out there for low T. If a guy has low testosterone, are T shots the answer to fix fertility? The answer is probably not what you think. You have got to hear this. Dr. Crawford points out that taking external testosterone can actually shut down your body's own sperm factory. Like, it can stop sperm production completely. It does the exact opposite of what you want it to do. So here's the difference between the myth and the fact. The myth is that T-shots help, but the fact is the right way to do it is to get the body to make its own stuff. Meds like Clomid or HCG basically send a signal to the testes telling them, hey, wake up, make more sperm and more testosterone. It's about working with the body, not against it. And, it's also super important to figure out why the testosterone is low to begin with. It could be linked to things like obesity or toxin exposure, sure, but it could also be a red flag for a bigger medical issue that really needs a doctor's attention. All right, let's pivot and talk about the female side of things. And I want to start by changing how we think about the menstrual cycle. It's not just something that happens every month. It's actually a key vital sign, just like your blood pressure or your heart rate. Okay, here is a question we hear all the time. I just stopped taking birth control. Why is my first period so weird? You'd think your body would just snap back to normal, but it's a bit more complicated than that. So here's the deal. That period you get while you're on the pill, it's not a real period. It's what's called a withdrawal bleed. So when you stop the pill for good, your brain and your ovaries have to reboot. They have to start talking to each other again to kick off a real natural cycle. It's a whole system restart. And the key takeaway here is patience. It can absolutely take 3, even up to 6 months for your body to find its new rhythm. That's why experts often suggest you stop birth control a few months before you actually want to start trying, so you have time to see what your body's natural pattern looks like. So let's say your cycle is regulated, but your periods are just long, like 8 days or more. Is that something you need to worry about? Well, for some people, that's just their normal. But it's definitely something worth checking out. Long periods can sometimes be a sign of something else going on, like PCOS, thyroid issues, maybe polyps or fibroids, or even some inflammation. Getting it checked out is the best way to know for sure. Okay, now we're going to shift gears and get into the world of fertility treatments. Let's demystify one of the most common ones out there, the frozen embryo transfer, or FET. So when it comes to an FET, there are basically 2 main paths you can take. The first is a modified natural cycle, where your doctor works with your body's own ovulation to get the uterine lining ready. The other is a controlled or medicated cycle, where they basically press pause on your ovaries and use meds to build that lining from square one. And to really get the difference, you got to know about this thing called the corpus luteum. In a natural cycle, after you ovulate, this little structure becomes a progesterone-making machine, which is essential for pregnancy. But in a medicated cycle, no ovulation means no corpus luteum. So all of that progesterone has to come from medication. So you go through all this prep. What are the actual chances of it working? This is so important to understand. Even with a perfect, genetically tested embryo, the chance of a live birth is around 65%. It's not 100%. It's really a game of statistics. And that right there is why a failed transfer can be so heartbreaking and confusing. It doesn't automatically mean your doctor did something wrong or that your body failed. Sometimes it really is just the statistics at play. And the only thing you change for the next try is, well, the embryo. Phew. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground, from basic biology to some pretty advanced treatments. So let's pull it all together and talk about how you can take all this info and actually use it. All right, so if you're going to remember just a few things from all this, let it be these. 1, fertility is a team sport. Get the guy checked out early. 2, give your body time, like 3 to 6 months, to figure itself out after birth control and track what's happening. 3, your period is a vital sign. If it changes dramatically, investigate it. And 4, remember, even with amazing science, this is still a journey of odds. So, I want to leave you with one final question to think about. After everything we've talked about, what's the one thing that made you go, huh, or that sparked a question? What's that one little piece of information that you're now going to take to your partner or your doctor? Because that's the whole point, right? Turning what you've learned into your next step.